Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Vicky and I'm also joined by my colleague Lisa, who is my co-host. We are both adult services librarians here at the Sonoma County Library, and we are pleased to partner with the Sonoma County Department of Emergency Management to offer you this program. A few reminders for today's event. Please keep yourself muted during the program. There will be time for Q&A at the end. If you have a question for the presenters, please ask it in the chat feature and we will do our best to answer it. Also, this event is being recorded in both English and Spanish. The recordings will be posted on the library's YouTube page and linked to our partners' YouTube pages as well. Lastly, this program is part of the Sonoma County Library Summer Reading Program going on now through August 14th. Track your reading progress to earn free prizes and to be eligible for weekly raffle prizes to local businesses. For more information, visit sonomalibrary.org/Sonoma Reading 2021. Thank you, and now I'm going to welcome Dr. Nancy Brown, the Community Preparedness Program Manager for the County of Sonoma, Department of Emergency Management. Take it away, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Vicki, and welcome everybody to our second in the series of Sonoma Ready. So our very first was 2 weeks ago. If you did not have a chance to view that with us live, that is available to you to view at the Sonoma County Library webpage. Also on the Department of Emergency Management's Facebook page, we've linked that for you. So depending on how you get your information, either place, you can go back and review that. This will also end up in those same types of links. So if you have friends that didn't make it here and that you think could benefit from this, be sure to share that information with them so they can head over there too. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dan Widger, who is from the Department of Emergency Management, and he is going to talk about planning. When Dan is finished, we're going to follow with Brian Whipple from Animal Services, who's going to talk about planning with your animals. And then we also have Lieutenant Fowler from the Sheriff's Department today to talk about evacuation plans and also about the new Know Your Zone campaign. So Dan, let me get this screen started and you will be ready to
go. Thank you.
Let's see. And can everybody see our screen? Okay, take it away, Dan.
All righty. Thank you, Nancy. Like Nancy said, I'm Dan Widger, and I volunteer here at Department of Emergency Management. Kind of a short story is Chris Godley took over a few years ago, and he was one of the people I'd worked with in the National Guard for years. And when I saw he needed a little help, I said, "Hey, you need a volunteer?" He said, "Sure, come on over." So I've worked here for a few years, over 40 years of public service, 35 years in law enforcement, mostly in Marin County. When I retired, retired, what does that mean? I went to work in Contra Costa County Department of Emergency Management over there. Also did 22 years of active duty Army and National Guard. So I went to floods, fires, earthquakes, places like Bosnia, Iraq for summer vacation. So I've done a little bit of planning. In Bosnia, it was kind of interesting because the head of intelligence for Europe came over one time to see how our team was doing things because they really liked the way we were planning things. He decided to go on a mission with us one time, and said, "Well, you want to ride with us?" He goes, "No, I'll follow you." He got lost. I think he's still driving around there. So what do we want to prepare for in a disaster? Oh, by the way, some of this stuff's going to be redundant from the last class we did, because how can you have planning without putting your kits together and all this other stuff? You got to do everything together. So when we plan for disaster, we want to plan for all hazards: floods, fires, earthquakes, medical pandemic, and don't forget zombies. Okay, so one of the things we need to do for disaster, if we know something's coming up, we want to stay informed if something's happened, like a big earthquake. Turn on the radio, start getting your information and stuff. Yeah, the good old-fashioned AM radio works pretty good all the time. There's going to be a class coming up July 10th that has more information on staying informed, so please tune into that one. Other thing you need to do is you want to make a plan and practice the plan. You write a plan out on paper, I guarantee it's not going to work in a critical situation. You have to practice it. Make sure you have your kits and your kits match your plan. So if your plan is to jump in your car and you have a little tiny Honda and you have like 5,000 pounds of stuff you're going to take with you, it's probably not going to work. Um, Plan for staying at home. You're going to shelter at home. There's, say, an earthquake and you have no utilities, but you have to have enough supplies for 7 days. You have to evacuate, so you have a go bag with enough supplies for 72 hours. You have a car kit. This could be you don't have time to grab anything or you're away from home, so you have at least 24 hours worth of stuff, and you can combine all these. So when you're doing your planning, take all these different kits together and figure out how you're going to use them. And you know what? Sometimes you may not get something. You got 30 seconds to get out of your house, you may not be able to grab extra stuff. Start your planning now. Draft it out on paper. Don't wait. I'm going to wait till I get everything together and then I'll plan. Work on your plan now if you don't have a kit. If you have a kit, great. Plan and work with that. So list possible emergencies. Make it real. List what you would do if you have to stay or if you have to go. So have a couple of plans. We can stay at home or we're going to evacuate. Evacuating, you may have just like immediate, you may have 5 minutes, you may have an hour, you may have a couple hours. So think about what you do depending on how much time you have. If it's fire season and you live in a fire zone, have your stuff ready and practice often. Talk about seasons a little bit here. You have this is not, when you see that bottle up there, that is not whiskey, that's syrup. Okay, so don't think that we're planning to grab that when we leave the house. But have your emergency plan handy so you can grab it. Have it in a central location. Everybody in the house knows where it's at, so you can grab it and you've got everything filled out. We'll talk about some of this in a little bit here. So put your personal information. If you don't think you need to put something on here, fine. You say, I have that information on my phone. Okay, if I lose my phone, I'm not going to remember my brother's phone number. I'm not going to remember a friend of ours that lives outside the area. I'm not going to remember their phone number. I'm going to have to write it down. So sometimes a good old piece of paper is going to be good to back up your phone, or your phone dies, or you lost it or something like that when you're running away. So filling this stuff out in paper is kind of a backup plan. If it's something you don't think you need to put on there, don't put it on there. If this doesn't work for you, scratch it out and make up what works for you. Okay, so sign up for SoCal Alert. There's a little link up there, and you can Google a lot of this stuff. So take notes and Google it later. You can't get it now. Figure out what local stations work for you. Just kind of practice some of this stuff ahead of time. And again, write down phone numbers and things like that. Maybe somebody's come to help you and they don't know the phone number. You have kids or something like that that can't remember phone numbers or things or names of people. Right. So writing this stuff down can be helpful later on. Where are you going to go if you evacuate? So have at least a couple of places. One of the fires a few years ago, I was coming up from down south, and everybody was driving south, and they all pulled into the shopping center that I was going to pick up stuff for the emergency operations center. And I'm like, wow, I didn't think of that. So everybody had the same idea. The freeway was backed up. So plan your evacuation route and figure out that a lot of other people are going to be going the same way. So don't just think you're going to be the only one out there. So put that in your plan. So maybe leave earlier. Evacuation checklist. If this checklist works for you, fine. If there's something on here that doesn't make sense. But the big things to take away from this is you're going to evacuate immediately. What do you need now? You've got an hour or longer, or maybe a day, or who knows? You might have 3 hours. They may say you need to evacuate in the next 3 hours. So think of what you're going to grab in those periods of time. What do you really, really, really need to take with you? And if you have more time, then you can take it with you and pack it up. And a good thing to do is to take things in a box and put a red tag on them or something like that. You can go, hey, grab the box with the red tag. Use different colors, whatever works for you. Say if I got time, I'm going to grab the red tag box. If there's less time, I'm going to grab more time. I'm going to grab these other boxes. But don't just be running around the house frantically, grabbing random stuff and go, oh, I'm going to throw this in the car, and all of a sudden you've got three pairs of shoes, but they're all for the right foot. Your go bag, you should have that all set up and ready to go. Keep it in a handy place. And what you put in there is up to you. If you got a little bit of cash to put in there, some flashlights, some N95 masks, a little bit of food, water. Most of the disasters I've been to as a National Guard or a cop were in bad weather. So it was really, really hot out or it was cold and wet. So pack this for the season. So, if you're going to shelter in place, sometimes that's the best way, but you may not have any power, gas, sewer, water. So you've got a backup supply of water. You figure out how to make a toilet in the backyard. And this is where those plastic garbage bags and 5-gallon barrel come in. Have a battery powered radio, maybe something with a solar backup or a crank on it, and all the other stuff. I don't need to read the list to everybody can read it. Okay, so start your plan. Start with your supplies or kit. Where are you going to evacuate to? Why would you evacuate? And practice doing this. I did a presentation a few years ago, and a guy said, "Hey, I set up my pack. I weighed about 40 pounds. I picked it up, and I couldn't even carry it down the street. What do I do?" I said, "Dude, you can either go to the gym and work out or lighten your pack." So he says, "I think I'll lighten the pack." So good plan. So take stuff out if it's really heavy and you've got bricks in there, take the bricks out. But make it so you can actually do it. Walk through this. This is what's going to save your life. Like I said, as some of the deployments I went on with the National Guard is practicing what we did before we went out. We did it in slow motion. We walked through step by step, breaking it down. How is this going to work? How is that going to work? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? Talk to each other, communicate. And again, we've talked about this before, but keep fire extinguishers handy. A fire extinguisher buried in the bottom of a box in an emergency kit's not going to do you any good. The gas shutoff wrench buried in a box is not going to do you any good. A flashlight buried in a box is not going to do you any good. These are things you want to have in your kit and keep handy, and then practice what you would do with them. Is this something I could fight with my fire extinguisher? I have no idea how to use this thing. Nope, I'm just going to run out of the house. I know where the gas valve is. I know how to shut that off. I've got the wrench, but don't go practice shutting it on and off. Okay, once you shut it off, PG&E has to turn it back on. And flashlights, just keep the flashlights handy because a couple of flashlights around the house is not a bad idea. My wife's on here. She thinks I have too many flashlights. Okay, so have a plan for all seasons. I'm not talking about spring, summer, fall, winter. I'm talking about earthquake season, flood season, fire season, power shutoff season. Plan by the season. So go back and look at your kits and your gear and say, oh, now it's hot in the summer. I got to prepare for hot stuff. I don't really need jackets in here and extra blankets. Maybe I'll put more water or something like that in the kit. We're in fire season and most of Sonoma County is going to get covered with smoke. So maybe have N95 mask handy or something to put over your face if you have to go out. We're going to have power shut off. What do I need to do for that to prepare for that? But like by season, and I don't mean the normal seasons we think of on the calendar, but by disaster seasons. And then a lot of the stuff is going to be the same. So you're going to need food and water and for any disaster. But maybe in the summertime, you don't need so many blankets and stuff, or you don't need rain gear. So take out the rain gear. Okay, tips. Practice and test your items. Okay. Test the item. If it's something you're not sure how it works or it doesn't work or it's a piece of junk, just get rid of it and get something better. If you don't practice, you don't know how it works, you're not sure what it is, don't have it in your go bag. Just like, I don't know what this is. It doesn't seem to work. A little thing that recharges your cell phone. It runs off a solar panel. Try it out before you need it. Is that really going to work? Test your plan. Do a walkthrough. Okay, this is what's going to save your life. You do a walkthrough. Okay, we're going to practice today. You got the kids or whoever, the dog, the cat. We're going to get all of them together. We're going to play a little game, and we're going to go get in the car. We're going to put our go bags in the car, and we're going to leave, and we're going to go get ice cream. Make it fun. We're going to go down to the park, but we're going to pretend like we're evacuating the house. So you walk through and you go, you know what? That didn't work. Johnny forgot to grab his pack on the way out, and I forgot to double check. Johnny's 4 years old, and we forgot to make sure that he knew what he was supposed to grab his pack. So that's something we need to take care of. Hey, Johnny, you forgot to grab your pack. We'll do this again next time, and don't forget to grab your pack. Walk through it and make it fun for kids and for adults too. I like to have fun. If possible, have multiple routes. I know everybody on here, some people live in condos, apartments, they live in residential neighborhoods, you live out in the country. And you may say, there's only one way out of where I'm at. Okay, well, once you get out of that area, there may be other ways, but think of as many routes out as you can. Have a plan B, have a plan C, and we got several other letters in the alphabet if you have. But don't just, if you possible, have more than one plan to evacuate. After a practice drill, make notes and go, hey, what do we need to do? We call it an AAR, an after action review. You go back, you go, you know what? That pack was too heavy, or it didn't quite go right, or when I got it in the car, it fell apart. We got out to where we were going to have our picnic. We opened it up, and we had food in there, but we didn't have anything to eat the food with. We forgot to put forks and knives. So go back. Got to put utility or utensils in there to make sure we eat. So just doing these little things is going to make it work. Just talking about it and writing on paper, it's not going to work. If you actually go out and walk through and practice this, I don't know how many times we did drills like this in Iraq. We'd been there for several months. I said, okay, let's go out and we can do this better. Let's do a walkthrough today. We're going to take a day off and do training and stuff. So that made things work. We understood better how to make things. We refined it. And oops, we got to go to plan B. All the routes are closed. Where are we going to go? Okay, so if you're trying to get out on one of these roads here and you see all those red things, that means that road's closed. So we go to plan B, plan C. So have a couple of ways to go out. Don't always think the shortest way is going to be the fastest way. So if you start going on a route and it's flooded or there's a fire that's overtaken the roadway or something like that, an earthquake's knocked down a landslide, you know what? Go to plan B. Okay, does your kit match your plan? So if your plan is to go down to the local park and set up a shelter there, and you look at your kit and you go, you know what? We forgot to put a poncho in here or a shelter, a tent or something like that, a space blanket. Let me go add that to the kit. So next time we get out here, we can set up some shade or shelter from the rain. What medical stuff do you need? Do you need prescription stuff? Cash, credit cards, practice using a radio. You get down to your little evacuation area, you're going to practice that. Pull out your little radio and see, does this thing work? Okay, it works here. I can pick up a radio signal. Get out your flashlight, pretend like you're doing this at night. And how long is this flashlight going to stand? Yeah, you're going to waste some batteries. So what? You get a rechargeable flashlight, go back and charge it up. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to turn this flashlight on while we're doing this to see how long the batteries really last. And they lasted 2 hours. Go back, put new batteries in. So now I know I need to conserve the batteries in that flashlight. Just doing little things like that, the little details. So nobody wants to be in the dark and not be able to see anything. We don't have eyes that are developed like that, so we need flashlights. Make your kit for what you think you need, and then when you practice and stuff, you'll refine it. You want the kit to keep you safe and keep you comfortable. Okay, nobody wants to be out in 30 degrees, getting rained on, and miserable and stuff. So you want something to keep you dry in the wintertime and keep you in the shade in the summer. So practice that. Keep that in mind. Part of your plan is to keep your gas tanks full, your cell phone charged up, and I'm surprised. I don't know why people don't have cell phone chargers in their cars. I mean, we've got them in both of our cars, and I keep one in my bag when I go to work. It's for the car, and it's just something cheap. It's like 10 or 15 bucks, but keep a cell phone charger in your car. And a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Pat. Don't wait for perfection. Start something today. Start your plan out today. Make a draft, work on it, and next Saturday say, hey, we're going to do a walkthrough on this and see how this works. Your go bag, can you carry it? How far can you carry it? If not, thin it down. Okay, it's better to have some items than none. So think of the most important things you need. If you could put one thing in your go bag, what would it be? Okay, good. Now you can put two things. What would that be? So think of two things. Okay, now you got three things. Okay, what are the three things you put in? So do it like that. What's the first thing you'd put in your bag? What's the second thing? The third thing? Break it down like that. That's how you prioritize stuff. So if you get to like the 50th thing on there, and you go, you know what? I don't have room for this. You probably don't need it. Okay, can you evacuate in the dark? If you have your go bag near the front door or the garage or however you're going to escape from your house, go in there and practice one night, grabbing it with a flashlight with no lights on and see, can I find this thing? If not, then move it somewhere where you can get to it easily. Does your shelter in place kit match your plan? So your plan is to stay at home for 7 days and, oh, I've only got 2 days worth of food. Okay. Watch the sell by dates and always have a few boxes you can grab and take with you if you need to. Where do you store this stuff? That's up to you. If you have a storage shed, great, under beds, in the garage, extra room in the kitchen, underneath the couch. And how fast can you load your car? Okay, don't do this really fast where you hurt yourself, but okay, let's do this really slowly. How are we going to load this stuff in the car? Can we get this car loaded in 5 minutes or less? And don't forget to practice your plan with your pets, your children, special needs, and make it fun for the kids and the animals. Make this a fun thing. Do something that you enjoy doing. And I'm checking my timer, and I'm doing good here. All right. Don't forget, July 10th, the follow-up for sources of information and community support. And you guys are all heroes in my book. Thank you for showing up for this.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. And for those of you who did not join us last week, the materials that Dan was referring to when he was going through some of the different lists is this emergency planning guide that we have. You can download this at socoemergency.org on our Get Ready, Make a Plan page. You can also stop by the library and pick up our evac packs. And these evac packs are available at all the libraries. They have the plan in them. They have the checklist in them. They also have information about a power outage. So different checklists and ways to get ready for public safety power shutoff. And it also has a Know Your Zone sticker. And so that's the perfect segue for Lieutenant Fowler, who is going to talk to us about the sheriff's role and law enforcement's role in evacuation and some of the new things they have for us this year. So Jason, take it away.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for everyone showing up and participating in this. I'm going to talk briefly about evacuations and how they work and what we've learned over the past couple years doing mass evacuations throughout the county. We don't take evacuations lightly. The decision to evacuate people is not done without a lot of thought and coordination with other people, whether it be CAL FIRE, local fire agencies, and other emergency management resources. We have now broken the county down into different evacuation zones, and you may ask, well, what is an evacuation zone? It's a predetermined geographical area that's used by us to quickly and efficiently evacuate residents within those areas. There's approximately 210 zones in the county, and if we do decide to start evacuations, we will announce these zones during these large scale disasters. They're easy for people to understand. It's once you know your zone, we start evacuating a zone. If it's your zone, it's time to evacuate. You may ask where you go to find your zone. Well, you can go to socoemergency.org /evacuation map. And then there's a box where you can type in your address. It'll at that point give you your evacuation zone. You can write that down. I would have that zone written down somewhere at your residence, or memorize it if you can. They're really small, 3 or 4 digit number, or it's a 3-digit letter and number combination, and so it's real important to have that, so you know if we're evacuating, let's say 2A10 or 2A8, and that's your zone, it's time to evacuate. Some people have asked us, what if they live in the city and they don't live in the county jurisdiction? Each city has their own evacuation zones, and you can still find those at socoemergency.org. Some have asked us or have remembered that we published evacuation zones last year, and we did that. Those were draft. That was a draft, And the reason we decided to publish them last year is because we had fires last year, and we decided to go ahead and use the draft zones during last year's fires. Since then, we have revised them, and we've revised them based on feedback from our deputies on the street dealing with it, dealing with the evacuations. We've spoken to the firefighters fighting the fires, and we've taken community input on how we draw these lines. And as you can imagine, creating a zone um, was was an arduous process for us to create the 210 zones in the county and to determine where we make those lines. Some of the zones are right down the middle of the street, and when one zone evacuates, the south side of the street, if you live on the south side of the street, you could be told to evacuate, and the north side isn't evacuating. Um, so it can be a little confusing. Um, People have asked us how they will know when to evacuate. Well, there's multiple different ways you're going to find out when it's time to evacuate. Uh, I would recommend everyone signing up for Nixle and SoCo Alert. We will put all our emergency alerts through there. We also have equipped all of our patrol cars through our fleet here at the sheriff's office with high-low sirens. They sound different than our normal day-to-day code 3 sirens. These ones sound more or less like an ambulance in the UK, if any of you have ever heard what those sound like. So if you hear a siren that's not a normal sound to you, that's probably a high-low siren, and that means it's time to evacuate. And if and you'll also we also send deputies to knock on as many doors as we can. So when the deputies knock on your door telling you to evacuate, we ask that you evacuate for your safety. And a lot of people have asked us where to go. Where should they go when they evacuate? Our stance is everyone's responsible for their own safety, and you need to make your own plan. We recommend that you identify at least two different locations that you can go in case you can't get to one. You have a second. You have a plan B, like Dan talked about. A good idea is to have one of your locations maybe outside of the county. It's worked. I know my family, when my wife and kids evacuate, they tend to go out of the county, uh, and we don't see each other for a while because we're all here at work. So for more information on all our evacuation stuff, you can go to the Sonoma County. It's sonomasheriff.org. It's our Facebook page. We have a page dedicated to evacuations. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We use all those social media platforms to put out information about evacuation zones. We put out information about if a disaster is happening and we need to evacuate. We put it out through there. We try to hit every platform as we have to get the information out there. And you can also check out socoemergency.org. They also have great information on there. We've also started handing out evacuation tags, and those we've had a couple of events throughout the county where we were handing them out. 2 weekends ago, I was up in Healdsburg for a fire evacuation drill in the Fitch Mountain area, and we handed some out at the Healdsburg Community Center. You can get them at any one of our buildings, any one of the sheriff's office buildings. You can get it here at the main office. You can get it at the jail. You can get them at any of our substations, any of our contract cities, whether it be Sonoma or Windsor. They have plenty of evacuation tags, and we ask that you use them. And what they are is they're a tag that says Sonoma Sheriff evacuated. And once you've evacuated, we ask that you put that somewhere that's visible from the street so our deputies know that that house has been evacuated. So we don't waste precious time knocking on doors of residents that have already been evacuated. As you can imagine, we need to get to those people that can't evacuate, that are bedridden, that have medical concerns, or just need our assistance. So those that can help yourself, please help yourself. Evacuate, put up your tags. And another point about the tags, we've had a lot of concerns about um, with the community, that their concern is once they place a tag, it tells looters that somebody's not in that house. Well, the way we run our disasters, once we've come into the area and evacuated, we have already called in for mutual aid, and we get law enforcement officers from all over the Bay Area. We get San Francisco, we get Oakland, we get Alameda. We get hundreds and hundreds of officers up in our area, and what we use them for is we do roving patrols through the evacuation zones. We have uh, controlled traffic control spots where we're not letting people down the roads. So we have a presence in your area when you're evacuated. So, and the last thing I can say about that topic is your life is more precious than the things you have in your house. And we would just hope that you would evacuate and make sure that you're safe. And we'll worry about those belongings later. So thank you. Back to you, Nancy.
Thank you so much. And just a quick a quick visual for you all. This is what the sheriff's evacuated tag looks like. And it has this cool little wire feature. It's a hard plastic, so you could use it once and then put it away and use it again. So it's not a throwaway item. It's a pretty sturdy tag. So I think those are going to be super helpful for people. I also wanted to, because if you haven't heard of the high-low siren, it's really kind of crazy. So let me play this for you so you can hear what it sounds like. And this will really help you understand the difference between a high-low and everything else. So when you hear the high-low, it's time to go, right? Isn't that what you say at the sheriff's department?
It
So
is.
be sure that if you hear that, if you go, wow, that's a weird sounding siren, alarm, go, leave. That means they're on your street telling you it's time to go now. They don't do that when there's a evacuation warning, or when we're asking you maybe to evacuate tomorrow. They do that when it's time to go right now. So when you hear that, be sure to go. Does anybody have any interest in seeing the website where you can look up your zone, or does everybody feel like they know how to do that? And I don't know how to tell if anybody wants to or not. If you're on the camera, raise your hand if you want to see the website. If you feel like you know it, then don't raise your hand. Okay, everybody's good with that. In that case, it's time to go to Brian Whipple at Animal Services. Brian?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming through. This is a great turnout. I'm Brian Whipple. I'm the operations manager at Sonoma County Animal Services. We are there to assist you with your pets and your large animals during an evacuation and during these large scale disasters. A lot of what Dan was saying for planning for you goes hand in hand for planning for your pets. Having that go bag that has their medication, their food, some water bowls, everything you do for you, do for your pets as well. We set up, if we don't have to evacuate our main shelter, we're gonna have space there for you to bring your animals to us. So know that where we're at, we're up by the airport, off of Airport Boulevard on Century Court. Again, same with the sheriff's office. We're going to be putting out a lot of information on what's going on with animals on our social media. So that's our Facebook and our Instagram pages, and you'll have an idea where animals can go. If you do end up at one of the large shelters that are a little bit trickier now with the COVID piece, but we do set up at all of the human shelters to be able to either assist with a cohabitated shelter where everybody's living together, or we can do co-located where people are inside, animals are outside, and in either one of our large vehicles that we have a camper van basically that can house a bunch of animals in. We call in mutual aid to bring other vehicles of that nature to help as well. For those of you that do have large animals, those ones are a little bit trickier. We do like to use the fairgrounds, the Sonoma County Fairgrounds and the Sonoma Marin Fairgrounds during evacuations. What I would say is when you do see that evac warning, if you have a large animal, that's when you should go with your large animal. Don't waste time, especially if you haven't practiced with your horse unloading in a trailer. That is one of the hardest things for us to do in the field during a disaster because the stress we're under, the stress the animal's under, and if they've never been in a trailer before, it takes a lot of time and people can get hurt if we're not doing this on a regular basis. So as Dan mentioned, practice. Even with your dogs and cats, teach them to go in and out of crates. If you haven't done that at all, instead of the once or twice a year to the vet trip in the crate, that may not be enough for when we do have to evacuate. Remember with dogs during when you're stressed running around, they're probably going to be right by your side. Your cat's going to go hide under the bed or a closet, a drawer, you name it. They can get into all sorts of different places. Not only do we do evacuations, but we also do shelter in place activities. So say you were out at work or something of that nature, and a fire started and you weren't able to get home and you have animals at home. So we can actually go to your home. We'll leave food and water. If this is one thing we did both in Windsor and in Oakmont and most of the recent fires is we worked with owners to be able to access the animals that were left behind. If you want them removed, we'll go ahead and evacuate them as well. The hard ones are the large animals because they're just a little bit more quirky. We shelter usually in the fire events. We end up sheltering close to 2,000 large animals at a time, which takes a lot of work. And we have another group that's out there that assists us called the Sonoma Community Animal Response Team, SCART. You can actually look at their website, and if you'd like to become a volunteer, we're happy to have you come aboard because it's all hands on deck when an event does happen. But again, some of the things that we always want people to have your vet records, have some contacts for your animals. If they're on medications and you weren't able to grab them and you're at one of the shelters or you need assistance with that, we can help with that as well. If your large animals are in a barn, it would be good to have a packet of information about those animals in your barn. Or if say you had to cut some wire, your fencing down because was happening so quickly, let us know that that's happening. There's a lot of information that we can glean from you by leaving just a note in the barn saying, hey, our big horse Blackie is outside and we had to cut the fence, but here's all of his vet information and contact information for you. And again, horses drink a lot of water, so we need to make sure that there's an access to that. We do have water trucks that we can bring in if we're sheltering in place, but again, a lot of work. And if you have, a well that we can, pump out of, we'll make that happen as well. So it's just going to have a plan, and even having a map of your ranch, your farm, your home on where supplies might be or where your cat may hide more often than not. Those little tips for us are a big help in order to keep the animals safe. So again, it's about what you do for planning for you plan for your animals. And again, that practice piece is huge. I can't stress that enough. We try to do the best we can. We get to areas as safe and as quick as possible, but there are going to be times where it's going to be a challenge to get to some of the spots that we want to. If you can evacuate early and get out of the county, I would say that's a great way to go. And definitely be able to get those tags on your homes. Because we go to a rural home, we want to make sure that you're gone as well as the animals are gone, so we don't have to come back again. It just saves time for everybody that's involved. Nancy, that's kind of about what I've got for now. And if you do have questions, you can go to our website, theanimalshelter.org, or you can go ahead and shoot me an email, shoot our office an email, and we're happy to answer. And also look at the Halter website as well as our website for information pertaining to animals and disasters.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. I do have a question. So if I have to evacuate and my cat ran under the bed and I can't find him, so I gotta go, how do I find somebody to tell them my cat's at my house and I left the door unlocked? Can you go in and make sure she has some food?
Yeah, and you can actually reach out to our office. Our main line is 565-7100, or you can contact the CART group, and we will coordinate on getting somebody out there and getting a key to be able to make entry to the home. And again, like I said, if you want us to leave food and water, we will, or we can go ahead and evacuate the animal as well.
And how do we reach the CART group? Do they have a website?
They do have a website, and I believe it's sonomacart.org.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. I know that we've certainly seen a lot of information over the years about people's willingness to leave if they can't get their pet, that would cause some people to just stay behind. So it's great to know that there's a backup plan, that we can go ahead and keep all of the people safe and then have a backup plan to make sure that the animals are safe as well. So thank you so much for everything that your department does. We really appreciate it. So
Absolutely.
if we have any questions from the audience, we'd love to hear them now, but also Dan would like to add one little thing to his presentation. I know he mentioned to you all that we talk about hot weather, cold weather, and there's one item in your go bag that's super lightweight that really helps you with all of these different scenarios and situations. So Dan, you want to come back around and talk a little bit about Mylar blankets?
Yeah, who doesn't like a magic show? Okay, so the space blankets or Mylar blankets, you get them in little bags like this. The price varies from $2 to $10, and they fold them up really tight. Now, I'm going to try to open this up. And what can I do with this? Okay.
Just 2 steps.
Okay. Oh. Now I've disappeared. You can't see me. Okay, so if it's cold out, you can wrap this around you. If you got kids or an animal with you or something, remember that musical group, Free Dog Night? Get your dog, wrap them up in that, get them around you, you keep warm. You can also take a couple of these, duct tape them together and make a shelter for shade. Okay. If the kids are freaking out or something and need something, let them open one of these up and play with it. Okay. You can use it for signaling. You're stuck somewhere, you can't get off the road. Pull this out, you can see that from miles away. Okay? So there's all kinds of things you can do with this. We kind of wasted this one. Now there's no way to fold this thing back up. If anybody can fold one of these back up, I will buy you lunch. Okay? Write that down. So anyway, this one's wasted, but I just wanted to show you one of the probably the coolest things you can put in your emergency kit. I think every little nook and cranny in my truck has at least a couple of these. My wife's car's got a few. All our bug out bags have them. So just a handy thing. You can do all kinds of things with it. And like I said, if you can fold one of those back up, I will buy you lunch.
Oh, I love a good challenge, but I have tried to fold them up myself and it just never seems to work. Anyway, thank you, Dan, for that. I think the Mylar blanket is the most underappreciated thing because it seems like nothing, but it can be so many things depending on what's going on for you. So they're a pretty nice item. You can buy these online like at Amazon. You can buy them at your local hardware store. You can buy them at your Army, Navy surplus store. So all of those different places can also, you can find one of those. Anybody else have any other questions? I don't see anything in the chat. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Lieutenant Fowler, to your discussion?
No, I don't.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think we're going to get out of here a few minutes early then. So let me just wrap up and then I'll pass it on to our library partner. To let you know, once again, you can get all of these materials 2 different ways. You can go to any of your Sonoma County Library branches and ask for an evac pack. They're free to you. They're available in English. They're available in Spanish. You can also go to the SoCo emergency website. I have put that in the chat. And on our Get Ready page, Make a Plan, you can download the evacuation checklist. You can download the emergency plan. The key here, as Dan said and as everybody has said today, is just to get started. If all you feel like doing today is just downloading it, then just do that today. And then maybe tomorrow you'll feel like doing the first page. But the key here is really just to get started. We know in Sonoma County that it's not a matter of if something will happen. I think it's clear that it's a matter of when and what. So for everybody to be ready, this is giving you an opportunity to really limit how disrupted these different events are in your life. and how safe you can keep your family. And really, really is key is that your actions will change your outcome. So what you do today can change the way that a disaster affects you and affects your family. So all of those different things are really key for you. We have a lot of different information that we've given you today. Of course, last time we gave you information, and in 2 more weeks on July 10th, at the same time frame, we're going to talk about alert and warning. So all the different ways you can get alerted in the county. And we're also going to talk about a lot of the different community groups that have popped up all over the county and how to get involved in your local neighborhood to start planning together. Planning together is really a key thing. One of the reasons we love planning together is because when you stand on your front porch and you look around, it's key that those people that you're looking at are your first responders if something really big and catastrophic happens. Because first responders from all over the county are going to be busy in many different places. And you're going to depend on your neighbors, and your neighbors are going to depend on you. So please come next time and have a listen to some of the different things you can do to start getting involved in your neighborhood. And I will give it back to you, Vicki.
Okay, great. I actually do have one question for Lieutenant Fowler, because I do live in a neighborhood with older neighbors, and I'm very close to the Windsor location where the sheriff's department is. If I go there, could I pick up more than one evacuation tag and give them to my neighbors?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Great, I'm going to do that then. And I want to thank you, Nancy, Dan, Lieutenant Fowler, and Brian. Everybody, I thought I was ready after multiple years of experience, but I find that I have holes in my planning. So thank you to you for exposing that and for your great program today. A huge thank you to Julie Burns, our interpreter, who was so helpful. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. Don't forget to sign up for our summer reading program. The Sonoma County Library's summer reading program runs through August 14th. You can sign up for that and find more events at events.sonomalibrary.org/events. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a wonderful remainder of your Saturday.